Thank you very much, Adriano. Thank you all for this invitation. I'm very pleased to be here with you. I'll try to give you some ideas, overviews, and I would be very pleased to discuss with you on these topics. In a, I think, very interesting moment, your choice to have this discussion around Europe in these very days, I think it's very timely. You are discussing about Europe in a long-term perspective, but there are many emergencies in this very period that are, I think, so problematic. Europe is at the very core of all the political discussions in all our countries, and many new challenges, many new threats. This is why I try to start by saying that I think we are entering a phase that is the most maybe difficult, complex, complicated phase of the European integration because of the change of the world. And the change of the world means that the three phases of European history, of European integration that we had since the beginning of the European integration are, for what I think, the following one. I put my first step is the first phase after May the 9th, when Robert Schuman in Paris launched the idea of European integration. And I say in the 50s, since the 50s, the first phase was based in geopolitical terms in the reconciliation between France and Germany. So it was a very inward-looking, not European, but Franco-German affair, in which Italy and Benelux played a role, but the dimension of the European integration was around the border between France and Germany. So it was a very narrow dimension, a very narrow discussion. And this dimension, this discussion was focused on this border. So reconciliation between France and Germany with all the different important results in this very period. Then the second phase of European integration is the phase starting, of course, with the end of communism, the end of the separation between the two Europes, and then the end of this East-West conflict and the reunification of the European Union. I say that the second phase, again, a phase in which there's an inward-looking European and Eurocentric approach. An European Union larger than before. It is not only France and Germany with the presence of Italy and Benelux, it is larger, but it is always with the idea that the center of everything is Europe. I use the term omphalos, that is familiar for all of you. The first omphalos was Strasbourg, was the Alsace border between France and Germany. The second omphalos is Berlin. The division, the separation of the two Berlin is the symbol, is the omphalos of this second phase of European integration. So the first one, intra-European, the second one, again, intra-European, larger, but always intra-European. Strasbourg, the omphalos, the first omphalos, Berlin, the second omphalos. But everything changed at the beginning of this century, some years ago, and this change is a complete change of perspective, because we entered, and we are today in this third phase of the European history, in which the omphalos is out of Europe. And when I say the omphalos is out of Europe, I say that we are looking to find the omphalos. It is not easy, but maybe we lost the omphalos. Maybe we lost the center. And the feeling that the center is no more within European ground, within our European countries is the big feeling of the difficulty and the loss of identity that European people are today experiencing. I say that because this third phase we are experiencing today is always a phase in which there are 28 or 27, tomorrow 29 with Serbia, Albania, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it will be always Europe, always the European borders, but the center is no more there. And when I say the center is no more there, I say that in the two previous phases, the center, the omphalos was there, but also the political and the economic center was there. I take the example of the G7. The G7, most important creation in the 70s, the idea to put together around the table the leaders of the world. You know very well that 4 out of 7 were from European countries, and it was not enough. They decided to invite also the President of the European Commission, and now it's not enough. They invite also the President of the European Council. So even today, when the G7 meets, 6 out of 9 people around the table are Europeans. The 4 prime ministers or the President of the Republic of the 4 countries, plus the President of the European Commission, the President of the European Council, and then you have the President of the US, Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Minister of Canada. Just to say that the previous political and economic landscape was a landscape in which the reconciliation of France and Germany first, the reunification of the European, of the two Europes, were in a situation in which the omphalos, the center, everything was around Europe. We have the feeling today that this completely changed situation in the world. It is there, but our people are not familiar with this change. And what is the most complicated thing is that our elite, if we can always use this term, our leaders are no more familiar with this situation. And we continue to think to a situation like the previous one, the first and the second phase, a situation in which the European Union was autosufficient, was able to work because it was the center of the world, because it was the center economically of the world. Today's third phase of European integration is a phase full of uncertainties. First of all, because my point is that this third phase started June the 23rd, 2016. So with Brexit. I think Brexit referendum and the result of the referendum was one of the cornerstones of our European history. Not because of the technical result of the referendum. One country decided to leave. 1 out of 28. We had also Norway twice deciding not to be part of the European integration. It was not a disaster. Today, the decision and what Brexit represented at the world level is something of, I underline this point as a cornerstone. Why I say that? For many reasons. First of all, because after all these enlargements, we had for the first time a country leaving, and it was a clear signal, but also for 2 other reasons related to the Britons, and what the UK represents in the world. First of all, because the UK Britons are considered the most pragmatic people in the world. So when they entered the European integration in 73, the idea in the world was, after 10 years, they wanted to be in, and General de Gaulle stopped. close the doors. At the end of the day, they entered, and the feeling in the world was, if the Britons are in, is the concrete demonstration that it is a success. The other way around today is unfortunately working. If they are out, they are so pragmatic, they will be always choosing the best for their own interest, so it's a demonstration that the European Union is a failure. That is the big message of Brexit around the world. And the world today is more important than Europe. So this message around the world was more important than the message within the European Union. We all knew that the UK was on the border, across the border for decades. So it was not impossible to think, not inconceivable to think a Brexit. But the message in the world was, for what I think, more important than the content of a single leaving of a country. But also for the second reason. The second reason is the reason why we are here. I don't know if someone is from the UK here. Is someone from Ireland here? Ireland, okay. You are the only one English-speaking mother tongue, but we are talking English here. We are speaking English. So the other reason is the fact that the UK is, with the US, the country traditionally leading the English-speaking globalization process of the last 50 years. And the fact that this country, that was the most important one within the European Union, left European Union, is also a big message to the world and a big loss for Europe and for the European Union. This is why I think Brexit is the cornerstone there, and all the difficulties in this third phase are related at the very beginning with this symbol. Third message of Brexit is the message to all the rest of the European countries. Italy is one of them. Italy, I think Italy's society mood towards Europe is the most close to the UK approach today, to the Brexit approach today. And the idea, the influence of Brexit too, for instance, for Italy, is the fact that so it's possible to live. It is not impossible that, as you, people like you, the pro-Europeans, you told us it is impossible to live. No, it's possible, and the Britons are happy, seem to be happy today, because they see a decrease of immigration flows in the UK. They see that Polish workers are no more going to the UK working. So it seems that the Brexiters are happy. There's no going back to the decision. So some people, for instance in Italy, are saying that, so you see, it's possible, it's good, and take back control is today's possible word. And this is this third phase. When I say Brexit, I have to say that Brexit is in a word that changed completely, and I think Brexit was the worst and the worst ever mistake that the UK did, for historic reasons and for long-term reasons. And I think, and I was surprised, because I know that the Britons are the most pragmatic people, and the suicide that they committed, for me, was incomprehensible. And I say that because I use here the main topic that I try to spread in my country. I live in France, I work in France, in Paris University, but I continue to run activities in Italy. I try to say something about Europe, and when I have to say why Europe is the only perspective for us, for our children, for the future, I use always the comparison with my generation. And I usually bring the example of my generation. I was born in '66, and I had some years ago, someone gave me a gift, and the gift was an Italian newspaper, the week in which I was born, '66, August '66. In this newspaper, there was an image, a cartoon, and the cartoon was, in '66, how is the village of the world? If we have to, how to describe the village of the world. And the village was the center of the village, 21 Europeans. So the idea was to put 100 people in this cartoon, the village, at the center, 21 Europeans. On the corner of the Americans, 5, 6, 7 people. Latin America, 5, 6, 7 people. Africa, 9 people. Then Asia, 60 people. That was in the year '66, the composition, the demographic composition of the world. And that's interesting because Europe was more than 20% of the world in '66. And I asked a friend of mine, who is a very good cartoonist, to try to rewrite this cartoon, thinking Europe when my kids will be working, so 20 years, 30 years from now. And the new cartoon is Europe, 5 people, the US, North America, a little bit more, but not so much, Latin America, a little bit more, Africa, a lot, Asia, a lot, still a lot. But the key point is related to two outcomes. The first one is the fact that the village of '66 was composed by 3 billion people. The village of the second and the next cartoon will be composed by 10 billion people. So from 3 to 10 in the development of one life, of the life of one person. We were used, I think all of us, we were trained with the idea that what is the life of one people, one person, in comparison with history of humanity is nothing. It's not true, because that time, life of one person means from 3 billions to 10 billions. That is enormous, because the Earth is just one, feeding one, at the beginning 3 billions, and Earth has to feed 10 billions there. But the key point is that 20%, 21% of Europeans of 3 billions and 5% Europeans of the 10 billions of 2040. So the key point is that the irrelevance in demographic terms and in perspective in economic terms, so the key point is about politics and culture, what will be the relevance in political and cultural of this 5% of the world of tomorrow. And this is, I think, the key point of our discussion and the key point of this third phase and of the future. Because today the reaction in this third phase is Brexit. And the reaction of Brexit is the reaction of the nostalgia at the end of the day. It's nostalgia of the past, when we were the center of the world, when the world was divided into a French-speaking world, a Spanish-speaking world, a Portuguese-speaking world, a German-speaking world, and the English-speaking world. That was the world. And we know very well that the world of today is completely different. It will be different in invited 53 African leaders, head of government, head of state of 53 African states in Beijing. They spent 1 day there. China invested 60 billion euros in Africa. The same Africa where there are countries that the president of the US framed then, I'm sorry, it's just a quote, shit old countries. And Africa is the same continent for the European Union, only a problem of immigration. When we discuss about Africa in the European Council, in the European meetings, it is only because of immigration flows and the consequences of immigration. And the Chinese approach, we have, referring to my country, on China, still today, the idea that we have to fight the bad Chinese copying our great ideas, innovation, copyrights, and so on and so forth. We don't understand what is China today and what is becoming China. In Italy, you are here in Como Lake, probably you will find very difficult to pay in many parts of Italy with credit card. Or many people will ask you cash and so on and so forth. You go to China, you live in China, everything is online, everything is with your phone, everything is more innovative than what we have in countries within the very core of the European Union. What is happening in the world today, this is why no longer Eurocentric. So the key point, and what I wanted to underline here, is the big contradiction we are living. The European Union on this third phase is experiencing all omphalos, inward-looking problems. And all these crises are multi-crises for the European Union. All together at the same time, and all these crises I will mention the least for the first time. Unexpected, without a toolbox. Brexit, first. We never expected. There's no toolbox, not only in Europe, there's no toolbox even in London, that is most problematic. For the first time. Migration flows. We never had such a migration crisis like the one we had in the last 4 years, and we didn't have any toolbox to manage this crisis. The terrorism attacks in the last 3 years, it was for some countries, France, Germany, Spain, Belgium, it was the big problem was the potential connection, intellectual connection between terrorism and migration. To say, look, they are coming, they are threatening us, and we have to defend ourselves. We don't have toolbox to defend. It was the first time. The euro, the financial crisis, the first time again. The East-West cleavage. For the first time in our European history, after the year 90, we are experiencing an East-West intra-European cleavage, and it is clear that we don't have a toolbox to manage this cleavage. When Orban, when Kaczynski, when the others, there's a lack of toolbox at the very core of the European Union to manage these challenges. And of course Trump, because Trump is the other unexpected threat, trade threat. We never had such a threat like the one we are experiencing today. So if you put all together, all unexpected, all without a toolbox, and all threats that are existential threats, it is not just the problem of the structural funds or how to manage the Erasmus funds or whatever. It is more than that. So these internal threats and this inward-looking approach is in total contradiction of the evolution of the world. And the evolution of the world is the evolution of the last 20 years. And it is an evolution that, in my view, started with the accession of China in the WTO, so in 2001. This accession changed completely the game, and this accession is the first step of something that is completely heartbreaking what we are living. I think that if we put all together the different aspects, and if we consider that in the year 2014, China overtook the US in terms of power, and what I mentioned before with the Chinese initiative of Xi Jinping is the other big challenge. At the same time, Brexit, in my view, is the, I mentioned before, nostalgia. It is not only an European sentiment, because when I was very much impressed by the fact that the slogans of the Brexiters were exactly the same slogans of the pro-Trump supporters. And it is, for me, interesting because the Brexiters wanted to leave Brussels, and there's no Brussels in the US. Yes, you can say that Washington DC is a Brussels, but the US is. You can't make any comparison with Brexit and what happened on the other side. So it is clear that today there's what, this is my point, there's a nostalgia and not acceptance by our societies, and when I say our societies, here I make a difference between Western Europe and Central and Eastern Europe. There's no acceptance by the societies of the countries that were the center of the world in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s of the new ranking that the world is having today. There's a very interesting poll. This poll is a question. Around the world, many important countries. The question is life better today or 50 years ago? And for me, it's the key to understand what is happening. Is life better today or 50 years ago? And frankly speaking, I think only in Venezuela you can say that. Telling the truth that life was better 50 years ago than today. For the rest of the world, you can't say life is better, was better 50 years ago than today. But you have 4 countries in which the result is a mixed feeling result. And it's surprising mixed feeling result. And these countries, and it's not a surprise, which are these countries? These countries are UK, US, France, and Italy. And for me, it is not a surprise, because these countries, these 4 countries, were the countries with a sort of golden age in the 50s, 60s, 70s, in comparison with the rest of the world. It is not the same, for instance, for Germany and Spain. The result of the same poll in Germany and Spain are completely different. People are saying, no, it's better today than 50 years ago, and it's clear. Germany was divided, in Spain it was Franco, and so on. It's clear that it's different. But for these 4 countries, and it is not by chance that the political result of the last elections means Brexit for the UK, Trump for the US, Italy, you know. You can say that France is an exception. I say, no, France is not an exception, because it is because of the French institutions that France is like today with the president like Macron and so on. But the first result, the result of the first term of presidential election in France is a result that is exactly similar to the result of the Italian elections of last March. You have 49% of the voters voting for the non-traditional parties, anti-Europe, anti-establishment, and so on and so forth. 49. If you put together some of these parties, candidates will get the same result. The difference is that in the Italian system, this 49% is able to form a government. In France, this 49% is marginalized because the system allows the president to have a second term and then to create a majority around him in parliament. So, I think, and I'm about to conclude, I think this third phase, the third phase in which the big contradiction is between the global situation that changed in the last 20 years in a way that I just very shortly mentioned, described, and this internal, mostly nostalgia-based idea in these 4 European countries. In these 4 Western countries, with the consequences of in the European Union. With a big difference, the big difference is related to the way in which, and I will be more than happy to discuss with you at this point later on, the East-West cleavage I mentioned before, with the idea absolutely crazy of the Western countries, Western European countries, to say, now we had the enlargement, now we expect Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, Estonia, Lithuania to become in 5 years like us, one à la ligne. C'est ce que je entends beaucoup en France. Without any idea of the fact that there are histories, societies, cultures, and the enlargement was not the accession, was not the unification, it was not like East Germany with West Germany. That was maybe the idea in some Western European countries, people. And it was so completely different. And today these challenges are within the European Union very complicated. So I think at the end of the day we are towards us mortal threat to European integration among those thinking that the European Union can collapse. We need to launch, I would say, a cultural, first of all, and an education issue, because the key point today is the fact that we don't understand that the main problem is a cultural problem first, and an education problem. There's a big separation in our society between the part of the society that is used to travel, to work in other countries, to speak other languages, to be familiar with other cultures, and the opposite. And what we are living today in our political debates, Italy is a country experiencing in the last 3 months, for me, a totally unexpected nationalism and not only Europeanism, but the recreation of walls and the idea that there are enemies. In Italy today, Putin and Trump are considered more accountable and more friends of Italy than Macron and Merkel. That is completely crazy. That is without any reason. But the feeling in the majority of our people today is exactly what I just described. This is Italy, and I mention Italy because I know Italy, but I think you can add discussions or references to many other situations. So I think today the European integration is risky. There's a mortal threat. And my conclusion is about how to reverse this situation. And I think we have to change completely the old method of European integration. And I think this is maybe the big and the most, the old method of reaching political goals by economic means. That was the extraordinary first method of the big achievements of European integration in the 50s, 60s, until the Euro, until Maastricht. I think this method is over, and this method obliges us today to discuss about how to have a political choice in favor of the integration. And this is why I say the cartoon of the village is very important. And I think Brexit and Trump are playing a crucial role for the pro-Europeans, like I am. Why this crucial role? For two reasons. First, because Trump is clearly threatening the European Union in some of the most important achievements and flags of our identity. Environment, that is maybe the most important one for our people, for our young people, for our youth. Second, free trade, that is not so important for our people, but it is decisive for our way of running economics in Europe. We know very well that we are very small, and if the world is a world of protectionism, it will be a disaster for all of us. If we have to produce only for our domestic market, it's the end of the strength of the European model. So we need a world without protectionism. And I add Brexit, because Brexit is the decisive and the most important point today, that is non-Europe. And I think this point of the non-Europe is the only way to relaunch in a positive way what Europe means in positive. Because today, Brexit is a demonstration that they decided to leave without having in mind the other option. And today, all the discussions that are threatening the European integration are discussions without having the idea that you can be out of the European Union. And being out or being in changes completely. I always use the comparison of the relationship between Poland and Ukraine. Some society figures in Poland and in Ukraine in the year 90 were absolutely similar. Life expectancy, children mortality. In the year 90, Poland and Ukraine had around the same figures on child mortality and life expectancy. Then Poland in the European Union, Ukraine not in the European Union, and today you have a situation in which Poland's figures are close to the one of the Western European countries, and Ukraine are completely far from that. And when you mentioned child mortality and life expectancy, is the difference between life and death. It's not technocrats' discussions, it's not directives, it is a completely different perspective. So the key point is about there's today, I think, the risk of the collapse. This is why the risk of the collapse needs a cultural, political battle in positive on the European way of life, on values, on the fact that we all together, we share values that in the rest of the world are not shared as we do in Europe. And there's a big difference of being Europeans and being not Europeans. I can have a long list, right of workers, environmental rules, the protection of culture, heritage, cultural heritage, landscape, death penalty, independence of justice, independence, free press. We can have a long list of values. And these values are not on the clouds. These values are our life, our daily life. And I think on this point we are too shy in this kind of discussions, and we need, I think, to rediscover these values as the true meanings and the true reasons why we are together as Europeans. And so my conclusion is that maybe the most important point is to change our narrative on Europe and to start to say that we have to stop the idea to say that we are in because it is convenient economically to stay in. But we are in because we believe in the values that we are sharing together. Because we lost, I think, we lost momentum, but we lost also the idea that staying together, being together, it is for a positive goal, it is for a positive global adventure. It is not only because we are obliged or because it is convenient. And at the end of the day, our societies, our people decided to leave these values and these ideas because maybe the framework of the discussion was completely mistaken, it was completely out of this equilibrium. So I think we are living in very troubled times, and next year, the year 2019, will be a year in which the discussion about Europe for the first time will be the core of the election of the European Parliament. I say that because we never had elections of the European Parliament with Europe at the very center of this discussion. We always had elections of the European Parliament in which every country was discussing about its internal affairs. I think next year we will have elections in which for the first time we will discuss about Europe. Which kind of Europe, with different ideas of Europe. And I think the future of Europe will be the outcome of this discussion. And Brexit is the demonstration that you can lose everything. You can lose. And it's possible in today's world. And I always remember my students in Sciences Po, my British students in Sciences Po, the day after the referendum, they asked to have a discussion in class, and we had this discussion. Some of them were crying for the situation. And what impressed me very much was the fact that they were crying, they were desperate because they immediately and suddenly understood the future, the consequences, but their point was that they didn't vote. Because they said that we didn't understand that it was so important. Because the idea of the feeling was that it's, yes, but at the end of the day it was not so important. So I say that because that implies discussion about the role of democracy today, the impact of social media and so on and so forth, that can bring us to a wide discussion. So I want to stop here and thank you very much.